Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesta Shunyavadi Bhakyatyade Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayong Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swaraj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribol Slava Savrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Ishi Gaurangi Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarne Om Agana Timanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shigaro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigaram Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitinanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam Canto Srimad Bhagavad Gita Chapter 3 Text number Are we ready? No digital agreement. What happened? Where's our digital man? Okay. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayoya karmanaha shariraya chapichate na prasidhyata karmanaha niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayoya karmanaha shariraya chapichate na prasidhyata karmanaha Ladies or lady. Na prasiddhyata karmanaha niyatam prescribed. Kuru, do. Karma, duties. Tvam, you. Karma, work. Jaya, or yaya, better. He, certainly. Akarmanaha, the no work. Sharira, bodily. Yatra, maintenance. Api, even. Cha, also. Te, your. Na, never. Prasiddhyat is affected. Akarmanaha, without work. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. There are many please repeat. Perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Purport. There are many pseudo-meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage, and great professional men who falsely pose that they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Krishna did not want Arjuna to become a pretender. Rather, the Lord desired that Arjuna perform his prescribed duties as set forth for the Kshatriyas. Arjuna was a householder and a military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder Kshatriya. Such activities gradually cleanse the heart of a mundane man and free him from material contamination. So-called renunciation for the purpose of maintenance is never approved by the Lord, nor by any religious scripture. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously, without purification of materialistic propensities. Anyone who's in the material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensity for lording it over material nature, in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so-called transcendentalist, renouncing work and living at the cost of others. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayoya karmanaha sharira yachapi chate na prasiddhyat akarmanaha. Performing prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. In this chapter, Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Bacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharne. In this chapter, Krishna has mentioned Anad Bhavati Bhutani. No, he hasn't mentioned it yet. He will mention. Anad Bhavati Bhutani Parjana Anasambhava Jagna Bhavati Parjano Jagna Karma Samudbhava. That all living entities, they subsist on food grains. You can read it from the Bhagavad Gita. It's third chapter, text number should be Probably 12. Three, 14. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rain. Rains are produced by the performance of yaga, sacrifice, and yaga is born of prescribed duties. Karma brahmodbhavan vidi, brahmakshara samudbhavan, tasmat sarvagatam brahma, nityam jagna pratishtitam. Prescribed duties are regular activities prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So the whole aim of human life is yajna, is sacrifice. Particularly yajna by Vishnu. And prescribed duties are all meant to cooperate for that yajna. The idea is that by yajna, then there comes rain. That the demigods, when they are pleased by the yajna, then they supply rain. But actually behind the demigods is Krishna. Krishna is pleased by the yajna, and therefore he tells the demigods to give rain. Devan bhava yata dena te deva bhavayantu va parashparam bhavayantak shek param avapsita. The demigods, being pleased by this sacrifice, will bestow all benedictions to people. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifice, will also please you. That's by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Ishtan bogan hivo deva dasinte jagabhavita tardata pradaya ibyo yo bhungte steneva saha. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yaga, sacrifice, will supply all necessities for you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So the demigods are Krishna's representatives. They're like tax collectors. They collect sacrifice and they offer it to Krishna. And when Krishna is pleased, then he tells the demigods to pay back the sacrificial offerers with rain, for instance. Because from rain comes food grains. Now we can have so many things. We can have big mansions and cars and spaceships. There's no food, we're not going to be very happy. Therefore, ultimately, people are sacrificing their energy ultimately to get food. Now, food may come in a variety of things. It may come from what we eat. We also eat by drinking water. We can survive a month or more by not eating food. We can only survive a few days without water. And we can only survive a few minutes without air. So we also eat air. We also eat with our eyes. If you don't see for some time, then you go blind. The eyes need food, need to see in order to survive. So we're eating in so many different ways, but the most basic food grains are coming from rain. And although people don't know it, rain comes from sacrifice to Vishnu. Because the Shudras, they have no intelligence, and therefore they just cooperate with the higher class. But the Vaishyas, their idea of protecting the cow and plowing the land is ultimately to get the ingredients for sacrifice. Now the ingredients for sacrifice are not only the ghee from the cows, but also the food is necessary to keep the people who are performing the sacrifice alive, the grains that they produce. So therefore Krishna herds the cows and gets the milk and the ghee and the milk products, and Balaram grows the food with his plow. They're all necessary to keep the sacrifice alive, because the sacrifice also means there has to be people doing the sacrifice, so they need food. And by the sacrifice arranged by the Kshatriyas, who collect taxes, and therefore they collect all the ingredients for the sacrifice, including the ghee and the sacrificial offerings. They protect the sacrifice. They arrange it for the Brahmins to get their necessities, and the Brahmins are peacefully learning from Gurukul how to chant the mantras so that they can, because ultimately it's the mantras that have the effect, not just throwing things into a fire. It's the potency of the mantras that actually have the effect. So when they chant the mantras, then if they chant them nicely, then the sacrifice is successful, and then the demigods provide the rain and all the other necessities of life. And then people can live happily, because they know if they perform sacrifice, everything that they need will be provided to them. Nowadays, people don't know how they're going to get what's provided. They go to university, they study some knowledge, so-called knowledge, which is pretty useless. And then they hope somehow or another they're going to get a job. And when they get a job, then they hope they'll make some money. And with the money, they hope there'll be something in the store to buy something with. How it all happens, people don't know. But ultimately, you may have tons of money or so much money in the bank, but if there's nothing in the store to buy, then what are you going to do with it? If you go to the store one day and there's nothing in the supermarket except for shopping carts, then what are you going to do? Chant Hare Krišna. So ultimately, they're actually sacrificing their energy to get food, but they hope that the food is going to be there because they don't know where it's coming from. Really, people, they go to the super, they don't know where their food came from. They don't know if it was grown locally or from some far and distant land. It was manufactured yesterday or 30 years ago. They have no idea where it's coming from. It may say something on the package, but not everything they say on the package is true. In any case, people are making sacrifice for food, but because they're not sacrificing to Vishnu or to the demigods, therefore things are getting more difficult as time goes on, because people are using up their sacrificial credits. It means that previously people were doing some sacrifice. Of course, in this age, the sacrifice is Yagya Vai Vishnu, is Harinam Sankirtan. But how many people in Ljubljana are chanting every day? Not so many. Some. In Slovenia. And how many people live in Slovenia? So a few thousand out of 2 million is what percentage? Something, yeah. So a little bit of rain, a few drops here and there. And I just came from Spain. It hasn't rained there in a year, not even a drop. A lot of people there, none of them are doing sacrifice. The only sacrifice they make is they're sacrificing their bodies on the beach to get they're throwing their bodies into the fire on the beach. Their bodies are being offered as a sacrifice to the sun god. But the sun god is not very much appreciative. Therefore, it hasn't rained for a year. Could you imagine if it hasn't rained for a year? I've been going to Peru since 1982. And in Lima, Peru, which is the biggest city in Peru, has like 6-8 million people. I don't know how many now. it hasn't rained since I've been there. That means that was 40 years ago. It hasn't rained in 40 years. 40. So you can imagine it's not the most pleasant place to live in. It's quite dusty. And it's always cloudy. It's not like it hasn't rained and therefore it's sunny. No, it's always cloudy. It's like in Malaga when I was there. In the morning, it's just the sky is full of clouds, black clouds. You think, well, maybe today's going to rain, but it never rains. By the late morning, it just all the clouds go away. In Lima, for at least 10 months out of the year, the sky is just cloudy all the time, but not a drop of rain. One time there was a little mist came down, which was quite surprising. So that's that's a lot of impiety. Of course, the city was only made for like 2 million people. There's like 8 million people live there now, so it's quite not very pleasant. And now they have all these immigrants coming from all these South American countries, other South American countries, who are all thieves and bandits. So it's even so the only hope is people have to chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, if we don't have to wait till the end of Kali Yuga to find out what the end of Kali Yuga is like, where people have stopped doing sacrifice for tens and thousands of years, and therefore there's nothing left to eat except for each other. Could you imagine walking down the street and everyone's smiling at you? And then you have to start running? Because how many years left? 427,000. When Prabhupada was asked on one TV show, where will your disciples be at the end of Kali Yuga? Prabhupada said they won't be around to see all the fun. Unless you're interested. If you make some plans, maybe Krishna will allow you to see what the Shastra manifested as the end of Kali Yuga. In any case, here it mentions we should be in the Vedic culture, everyone has their place in sacrifice. The society knows that it can't survive without sacrifice. Although people are thinking now that they can survive without sacrifice. There is some sacrifice. There's some religiousness. People go to church and pray to God for things. So there's some recognition. But it's not growing. For the most part, it's diminishing. And therefore the society is becoming more and more chaotic. Less and less regulated. Unpredictable what's going to happen. People are more and more in anxiety. And the solution doesn't rest in the hands of the politicians, because they're not doing their duty. No one's doing their duty. Therefore, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalo nashteva, nashteva, nashteva ganti anyata. The only duty people can do is they can chant Hare Krishna. Then it says, in the different yugas, Kali Yuga is always there, but in every Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't come. He only comes once in a day of Brahma. But in the other yugas, Krishna comes in a blackish form, and he introduces the chanting of Hare Krishna. And in the chanting, people chant at least to get rain. They have the idea of going back to Goloka Vrindavan isn't there so much because there's no information in the other Kali Yugas. But they know that unless you chant, you're not going to get rain. Unless you perform sacrifice, you won't get what you need to survive. So people chant mostly for liberation or to get the necessities of life. So we're chanting. That will be provided also, the necessities of life. But above that, we're introduced to the idea of following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chanting, which is not only chanting to get the material necessities of life as from a sacrifice, but also to get prema bhakti, love of God. So we have something extra. Not only fill our stomach, but fill the soul too. So therefore we're quite fortunate. But without introducing this sacrifice, there's no hope for society. There's no politician, there's no philosopher, there's no humanitarian who can solve the problems of life without sacrificing to Vishnu. It's just impossible. All they can do is give promises, but they can't actually provide the rain or anything else in such a way that it can actually produce the food grains that can actually feed people, and also the other necessities of life: clean air, clean water, proper relationships, protection. They can only be provided when people's minds are cleansed and they don't act like the lower species of life. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
What do you mean exactly sacrifice? We must to do that. You mean just yagya or also sankirtan, harina?
Oh, Sankirtan is a sacrifice. We're sacrificing our energy to chant Hare Krishna.
Okay. Not just fire, yagya.
No, the fire yaga is not important in this age.
Okay.
That's just for show. Because even the fire yaga dependent on the success of the fire yaga dependent upon the expertise of the chanters. And they're all chanting Vishnu's names. So unless they chant the Vishnu's name offenselessly, the yaga doesn't work. So our yaga works if we chant Hare Krishna offenselessly. It works better. That's all that we have to do. The soul doesn't need all these things. It only needs Krishna. If it gets Krishna, then it gets everything. Anything else?
Yeah, how about Dubai, or
Impiety. Oh, the clouds are there. They put chemicals on it, and they get the result. They get flooded. They think they can surpass material nature, but if they're sinful, instead of too much rain, too little rain, they get too much of it. So they get the rain. The lack of rain is a sinful reaction. Too much of it is another sinful reaction. Ati dristi, alpa dristi. It's all a reaction. Yes. To come in contact with Krishna, to wake up the soul and have the soul become conscious of Krishna again. That's the purpose. All right. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.